Like I said before, I hope everybody's safe and well. Just some for those that haven't been on the call in the sort of coffee club with us before, just some general housekeeping really. We'll look to probably run it. It'll be running the last sort of 3 weeks anywhere between an hour and a half. So make sure you've got a brew to hand, or I did add or something stronger now, seeing as I was saying Hoddy last week. So laptop or tablet, if you're using it, it does give you a little bit of a better experience, but you can use your phone as well. But just if you're on your phone, so if you're on a smartphone, you toggle between the chat box. So you just press on the screen and then there'll be a chat function that comes up and you toggle between the two. If you could, for us, just mute yourself just to avoid the background noise. It makes better for the recordings as well. And if you do want to talk at any point, just unmute yourself and either shout up or use the chat function for the comments. So between myself and Ben, we'll manage the chat function as we go. There's 2 numbers on there which you'll get through to either me or Ben if there's any problems. First number's Ben, second number's mine. So if you've got any problems, but I think, to be fair, it's been pretty decent so far. So last week I said we're trying to keep this quite relaxed and informal. So last week we started off with a bit of a selfie challenge. Well done. I don't know if Andy Bates is on the call from AFC, Carla, but well done, pal. So there'll be 2 night footballs coming Andy's way for tweeting about it afterwards. And once we get resumed play. This week is a little bit of a quiz. So if you've got a pen and paper there, I have got no way to tell if you're going to cheat or not, so it's entirely up to you. I've upped the time limit, Ben, so we done this and it was 1 minute. But I didn't feel 1 minute was enough because I didn't win it. So I think another minute I'd have done all right. I'm going to set 2 minutes to time on my clock. There is 18 Premier League moments. So you'll see on the screen, there's one half of the pitch with a load of players on. There is 18 Premier League moments to get, and you have got 2 minutes starting from now.
James.
Yeah.
Nothing's moved.
Picture's not. Oh, it has now. It has now.
I'll give you another 15 seconds on top. Five seconds left. And 2 minutes is a long time when you're sat in silence, isn't it? Right. Okay. I hope people would not just sat there, and I hope you were having a go on the screen. So number 1, then if you want to put in the chat function or drop it in, however you want to do it. Number 1 was Arsene Wenger, sent to the stands at Old Trafford. So well done if you got that. Number 2, everyone I'm guessing will have got Eric Cantona's Kung Fu kick at Selhurst Park. Number 3, Jürgen Klinsmann. 4, should be some Leeds fans I'm guessing in the call. Tony Yeboah's strike. Number 6 was Robert Perez and Thierry Henry when they mucked up the penalty, kicked the ball sideways. Ben's favourite, number 7, was Pepe Reina at Sunderland when the ball hit the balloon or the inflatable. Number 7, Alan Shearer, reckon Jackie Milburn's goal scoring record. Canio and Paul Alcock, and he pushed him over. Number 9 was Wayne Rooney and his overhead kick against City. Yes, you got that. So Luis Suarez fighting. Any Liverpool fans in? Mr. Gerrard slipping against Chelsea. Number 12, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Mariner and Gibbs, and the confusion around who he sent off. The United fans, David Beckham's goal from the halfway line. 14 was Martin Taylor's awful tackle on Eduardo Silva for Arsenal. Ruben van Nistelrooy when he missed the penalty. Martin Keown jumped in his face. 16 was Delia Smith. And that was a famous Let's Be Having You shout. 17 was Robbie Fowler and he's sniffing the white line celebration. And number 18 was Kevin Keegan's rant. Just do us a favour, drop in the chat function who got, how many people got. We'll see if we've got a winner. We might be able to rustle up a prize. No cheating. What's our highest, Ben? We've got a new one? Or it's just nobody doing it?
At the moment, 17 is the highest score, 17 out of 18.
Who got 17?
I don't want to say really. Hoddy.
No way.
Yeah.
Good effort, Hod. Which one didn't you get, Hoddy, out of interest?
You got Eduardo Silva mixed up with Reyes.
I could claim 18, James, but I did this on the other night, didn't I?
You did, so you're not in.
Looks like 17's the winner.
Hoddy, good effort. Seeing as how it's you, I don't think we can get a prize, pal. But we'll see what we can do. No, I'm only joking. We'll sort something out for you, mate. Okay, so coming up now, delighted really that Sally's on the call with us. As Sally introduced last week, focus this evening really is going to be around that sort of that psych and social corner, so that other side to the four corner model that we spoke about. It is quite exciting. What I will do, and Sally's made a note as well, so two of us cannot forget tonight. There will be a clap for the NHS again at 8 o'clock. We will not forget. So we'll just make sure with that. We'll have a little pause if we're not done. We'll have a little pause for it, and then we'll resume. And we'll be there or thereabouts in some way, shape, or form. Everybody all right with that? Okay. Let me just unshare my screen. Where's my Sal? I'm just it's over to you if you want to share your screen. That should have come off.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can. So can everybody else?
It's really weird because I can't see myself and I can't see any of the chat. So all I can see is that.
No.
Yeah. The responses are all, and there's quite a few saying they can see it, so you're good to go.
Brilliant. All right. So thanks for having me on tonight. I did a CPD last night for Staff's FA, but it was very much a CPD. So it's going to obviously be a little bit different tonight because I know it's more of a relaxed feel. So I'm going to kind of set off, and then any questions at any point, please ask me. I have got a few slides, but I've put them together really for to kind of clarify any conversations that we might have, to just put into theory. Who's got the mic on? Is that better? Yeah. Okay. So as just been saying, and my kind of bag, and a little bit of my area of curiosity, and something that I'm quite passionate and excites me is psychosocial side of the game. Okay, so these are the psychosocial bits, or the words that get put into the boxes, and my thing is around, do we actually really know where these words come from, or actually how do you foster them, and what are some of the buzzwords that are in around psychosocial at the minute? So if I said to you, what are some of the buzzwords, or some of the words that you can see on the screen that jumps out of you that we talk a lot about, what is there? And you're welcome to unmute and tell me, or put it in the text box. What words jump out of you that we use a lot of in football, or is the buzzwords at minute?
So we've got one, Sally, where Paul commented problem solving.
Okay. Yep. Anything else?
Relationships.
Okay.
Teamwork.
What about teamwork?
Good learners.
Okay, yeah.
Environment.
Yep.
Open mindset, confidence.
Okay.
Outside factors.
Yep.
Good
All
sports
right.
persons.
Okay, so I kind of my journey, I know I sat on Matt's last week. I was in the skills programme before I then now got into a CCD role, and I went on the advanced youth role. And within that, we looked at the psychosocial corner, and it was 2012 on the pilot, and I did the foundation phase one, and it really evoked my curiosity around this area. And we went back into the skills programme and delivering sessions and work with the kids on a regular basis in after school clubs and skills centres, and it seemed to be working, and I kind of wanted then to know the how and the why. So I went and did a child development course, which basically looked at social attachment, neuroscience, stage of development, and looked at it in a sense of helping and supporting the most vulnerable children. So children that really need some more work in their emotional and social development. The company goes into schools and works in primary school setting, now in secondary school setting as well, but most primary school setting, to help the most children that might even just struggle to even get into the classroom and learn. So this for me, and I use this as a metaphor, which we're going to work on tonight. for me, them words that you've just seen are very much on the grass. So very much grass level. I wanted to know the soil. I wanted to know how and why that what we do helps to then develop some of them stuff that we put in. And if you look at it this way, Wembley Stadium or Wembley as an arena and as the grass and a turf is beautiful. And Wembley's not Wembley when the NFL's been or concerts been and it's trodden down. But what makes Wembley regrow, because they hardly relay at Wembley at all, is really good soil. The groundsmen absolutely love the soil and care for it and nurture it and put light on it, and it regrows to this perfect thing. So a little bit like if our children haven't got really good soil, then they're going to struggle to develop some of them skills that are above the surface, that are what you've just seen. Also, for us, we can as well understand that we can put some things in sessions that strengthen the soil to enable then grass to regrow when bad times hit. So hitting them as children and also as better players. So if we can strengthen the soil that's underneath the surface, when bad times hit, they'll be able to grow back from it. But also, if we make it so they can cope with more things, we can be able to push them and develop stuff that's above the surface more, which links back into, in football, our psychosocial model. Does that make sense, or does that kind of give you an insight into what we're going to look at tonight or what you want to chat about? Because I'm very much open to just having it very much open forum chat. Is that all right? Yeah, James will have to let me know.
Yeah, I think so.
It's weird this, I can't see chat.
No, it's hard when there's people coming through now saying, that makes sense.
Okay, brilliant. So this is where I want you to kind of start getting involved a little bit. What are some of the challenges that you face with your players at the minute? Roughly ring around the psychosocial element. So we've said around, a lot of these buzzwords around teamwork, good learners, problem solvers, confidence. So what are some of the challenges that then face into that? Drop them on the text box or unpick them and shout them out and we can have a little look at them. So what are some of the challenges that you face with your players at the minute that you might want a little bit of help with? And we had a great one last night about their son being in his team and he had problems with that, with how to handle his son. What's some of the challenges that you face with your players at the minute?
If anyone wants to unmute themselves and just shout it out rather than type it in as well, feel free to.
Yep.
Just when you were saying that about somebody saying about the son, I have the same. So my son plays in my team, and probably I'm very unfair on my son, and I will make an example of him in front of others.
Yeah.
Okay. So if others are misbehaving or anything like that, if my son steps out of line even just a little bit, I sort of come down really hard on him. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. We'll put a little bit. I mean, thank you for your honesty. For a start, and we'll look at how that might kind of change, hopefully change a bit of a lens on it, and how we can maybe do something like a little bit different with it. So that's this. I'm just at the minute. We launched a mental health campaign at the last Community Shield for adult game. You might have seen it. We're going to hopefully launch one for Grassroots in the obviously youth soccer. And I'm kind of leading that work at the minute. And one of the sections that I've really fought for to put in is around understanding behaviours and how it might play out when you've got your son, daughter in your team. So I think it's a really hard one. So we'll touch on that. Any other challenges?
There's a couple coming on the chat, Sal. So when I worked in academies managing player social playing pecking orders.
Yeah.
Changes in schools as year 8s, different schoolmates, etc.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's when the players go in different schools. Dealing with parents.
Yeah.
Coping with setbacks during games.
Yeah.
And striding players versus struggling players within the same squad. Another one, just how to manage varying reasons of why players come to football. Some who just come for fun and the social aspect, but also some who come and want to be footballers. Can be difficult to manage the two types in the single session.
Okay, we might not touch on that because it's more managing, but we probably will do on some behaviours. Okay, anything else from anybody? I've tried to write them down, so I will try and touch on them and we can come back to them at the end. And then if we haven't touched on or it hasn't give you, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of try and give you a bit of through a different lens. So I'm going to show you or hopefully explain to you a little bit of something different through a different lens, which may change your thought process or your observations around some of the behaviours that we've just spoke around. And this is why we tend to look at a lot of behaviours as challenging behaviours, and we need to maybe look at them as slightly different. So some of the behaviours that or challenges you've spoke about there is very much distress behaviour, and there's a difference in misbehaviour to distress behaviour. Distress behaviour is very much what controls from a bottom up in our brain circuit, compared to a misbehaviour is top down. Can you see my hand movements when I'm doing that? Yeah. All right, Bill. So I'll give you an example. A distress behaviour would be children struggling to cope with setbacks on the pitch, crying, running off, not talking, going into the shell. That's bottom-up behaviour, which we'll talk around. Top-down misbehaviour might be me and Dave Morris at work chatting, and we've gone for lunch and we've got a cream bun each, and I go to Dave, oh Dave, you know this cream bun, do you think that cream smells funny? And he smell it and he goes, and I shove it in his face. That's like misbehaviour. All right, so a little bit of playful, not thing, but it's something that I'm conscious about that I'm going to do to him. Some of the distress behaviour is bottom up, and we're going to look at it through a different lens, and how we're going to look at it is through neuroscience. All right, now don't get worried about this word. A lot of people use it to make themselves look more smarter than what they are, and a lot of people get a bit put off by it. Neuroscience is just basically understanding what is in your nervous system. So what is below the surface. So we're looking at stuff tonight that is soil stuff to help things that we can then develop in the grass stuff in Wembley. Sarah Blakemore, if you work or if you have children in the adolescence ages, or you work YDP and early on in the PDP, as well, some of the foundation phase, they're hitting puberty now from ages of 9. She's a great one to look into. She used to be at UCL. She's now, I think, at Oxford, or is she Cambridge? Oxford or Cambridge, she's just left. She's got an amazing TED Talk, and she's also got a really good book called Inventing Ourselves. She's the leader in the adolescent brain. And this is one of the quotes in her book, that she thinks neuroscience is fundamental to teaching and learning. And I totally agree. We're helping our children learn to be children and also learn the game, and we're teaching them. So understanding the nervous system and what's below the surface for me is fundamental. So that's what we're going to go on to a little bit. So this is the brain, the head, obviously. And just to kind of go through it, I'm just going to keep my phone here so I can see my time, is this. I'm going to explain it and show it as a model that is 3 parts, and it's from the bottom up. The brain obviously doesn't look like this, and it doesn't sit in this way, but this is a model for me to, 1, how I got trained in it, 2, also being able to simplify it in my brain to be able to explain it. The models, there's loads of models out there. So Steve Peters has got his model. with the human, the chimp and the computer. Stuart Sanker in the Merit Centre in Canada, he's got his model, which is the red and the blue. It is just people's way of trying to explain, so it gives us a different slant on behaviour. This is my way of explaining it, all right? So if there's any neuroscientists or anybody out there that's done the loads about the brain, this is obviously not how it looks, and I know about, but it's my way of explaining. Does anybody know much about the brain to start with? Anybody? If you do, unmute yourself and tell me. If not, I'll kick on. No?
You could be taught Cumbrians here, Sally.
I think that's a bit of a comment. All right, we'll get going then. All right. At any point, if you want to ask me any questions, please unmute. All right, and I'll try to go as slow as I can with this bit. Our first part of our brain that it sits at our bottom is called our brain stem. In there, you have got 3 circuits: loss, rage, and fear. It's actually grief, but I think loss helps us to put it into child context when we're thinking around some of the behaviours that they have. Children have the same structures as we do adults, and sometimes we expect or perceive our children to be able to cope with things that isn't we wouldn't cope with if we put it into an adult context. So it got talked about fairness, which I'll touch on to later, is massive for dysregulation in children. And if we put it in an adult context, we'd be peeved off as well if it were unfair. So in your brainstem, you've got 3 circuits: fear, rage, and loss. You've also got 2 amygdalas. There is your threat detection system, which I'll come on to in a little bit. Okay. The next part of your brain is your limbic system, is your emotions. And in there, you've got 4 circuits. The 7 circuits in total is Jack Panskeep's work. This is used in a lot of child psychology, trauma, mental health. Okay. And in that, the major things for me, I can't draw on this one, can I? So you're going to have to just go with my cursor, sorry. My biggest thing, let me go back. Biggest thing for me is play. We have all got a play circuit in our brain. The way we play is slightly now different to the way that children play. Okay, but we've all still got a circuit in our brain. Arrival activities for me is fundamental for children for a couple of reasons. One, research shows us that we've got an innate urge to play. So when children's had wet play at school and they come to us and they are wired, they've got an innate way that they need to get out. They need to play. It's the brain's overriding them that needs to play. So why they'll ask you, can we play a game? Okay. If you give them an arrival activity, research shows us 10 to 15 minutes of an activity enables children to learn better. So yeah, I get it. Sometimes we've only got an hour, but if you have some children that are not in, which I'm going to tell in a minute, 3 parts of their brain, your effectiveness of that 50 minutes or 40 minutes or 35 minutes that you have is probably limited. Okay, so it's massive for enables them to get in ready in their social engagement system, ready for learning. Another bit about having an arrival activity is if you've rushed from work or you're having a bad day, gives you time to set up. It also gives you time to sense in. When children come back from this epidemic, same as adults, we're going to have to be really try to be in tune and in the moment with them, because this will help their settle them and also get them to their social engagement system and help with any trauma that has gone off. All right, so play activities when they come back into the fold is going to be 10-15 minutes arrival is going to be key for helping children that is going to be struggling at this time for mental health. Okay. Also in here we have got the seeking system. With children that have an underdeveloped seeking system, you'll tend to get this with them. And I'm going to try and do my face because I can't see my face, so you're going to have to bear with me. Is if you went to you've just been picked to go on to play Ajax in a tournament. Or really sorry that your cat's just died. Or children that don't follow their programme in an elite environment. So we have an under 18s that I'm doing a bit of work with at a pro club, and he doesn't follow his programme. And the coach will go, oh, he does this or he's this. It maybe not that saying, and maybe the fact that he's got an undeveloped seeking system. And a seeking system is the starter of your motivation, starter of curiosity. And if a child's got an undeveloped seeking system, we can help support that. But your seeking system is proven to show that if you've got this online and switched on and your good seeking system, you follow through with things later on in life. You finish your UEFA B project. You go after your goals. You've got motivation to do it. So some people that are not that way in certain contexts may be because of an underdeveloped seeking system. We've got to sometimes separate the behaviour from the child and what's the behaviour telling us. There's no naughty children. There's no lazy children for me. We very much is what's not probably in the system of child development. These two systems, or these two bits of your brain, are the most powerful bit of kit you've got. They are programmed from evolution. They've come from evolution before there was humans. This what sometimes overrides us in an unhealthy way, in a healthy way. So some of the emotions or the behaviours that some of your children will show is because they're in these two parts of their brain. For us to have children that we can fully engage with and develop them as players and children and people, they need to be in all three parts of their brain. This is where, so the neocortex is what's come online the last 40,000 years. And it's our human part of our brain. It's where we can plan, we can reflect, we can problem solve, we can make really good decisions, which what we need in coaching, in our players. And we can say, right, we're going to give the kids tonight a really good session and challenge them with loads about decision making and problem solving. If children are not in, or some of your children in your session are not in all three parts of your brain, their limited learning is limited. Limited learning is limited. Their learning capacity is limited. All right, if not switched off. Sorry is an interesting one for me. So when we say to children, go and say sorry, if you're not in all three parts of your brain, you can't say sorry, so they'll go this. Sorry. All right? And think of it about in an adult context. If you're in an argument with somebody, your other half or somebody at work, and then an hour later you go, why didn't I say that when I said that? Because your thinking capacity is offline. So we've got to think around how we get our children into all three parts of their brain. Okay? And within this, your brain is connected to your vagus nerve. All right, so it sits in the bit of your brainstem. This is, I call it sometimes the polyvagal nerve. So if I refer to it as a polyvagal nerve, it's easy for me to explain because I'm going to come on to the polyvagal theory. But your vagus nerve sits into your brainstem and goes all around your nervous system into your major organs and runs below your gut. So when we go with your gut feeling, that's because your senses in your brain and subconsciously picking up threat and experiences from what you've gone in, it's telling your gut that you're not really happy about this situation. All right, so it sends you off into either tingling or whatever and gets your body ready for fight, flight or freeze, which sits into here. So your fight, flight or freeze situation sits into here. Okay, if then your body's all right, you're back into it. If it's not, then we go into them systems. Stress and anxiety isn't a negative thing, all right? There's good stress, and anxiety is an emotion like love, joy, happiness. The problem we've got is when stress and anxiety is in a prolonged state. If you're in a prolonged state of anxiety and stress, the chemicals that get released in your body is so harmful, it erodes your immune system in your brain. Somebody going to speak now? All right. So we have to be very careful. Your vagus nerve links into how much resilience you've got in life. Okay, and that's another thing. This comes online from when you are conceived to 3 years of age. When you are conceived, your hippocampus is like a tape recorder in your brain that starts to record every experience. So some of the things that we're not right fussed about, me is balloons, is pre-verbal. Okay, And what's happened is my mum's gone, she don't like balloons. Don't touch them balloons, don't go near them balloons, don't go near them balloons. So it's logged in my brain, don't go near balloons, don't go near balloons, don't go near balloons. So when I see a balloon, I'm like, ooh. And it's my brain's way of keeping me safe. Okay? So in an healthy way and an unhealthy way. This comes online in the first 3 years. It's the start of your resilience that you take and build onto. It's also your attachment style that you take into life, into adulthood. All right. We're going to have probably, looking at some of the research and from what I know, we probably might have a struggle later on in the next 4 or 5 years with children that have a higher risk of anxiety, because with your parents, well, your mother has got an higher risk of anxiety in pregnancy at the minute, going through what we're going through, it gets transferred into the baby through what's called epigenetics. So sometimes you are born with a higher level of anxiety. Is that all right with everybody? Is that quite deep or clear, or just gives you a bit of a flavour to it? I have to say that any time I've been delivering some of this content where I've delivered, all I've had is an outcome of I just wanted to try to evoke some curiosity around this subject. It's an area that is getting looked at in Australia. It's very much in child psychology, child clinical mental health, trauma, adult therapy, but we haven't used it across into a sporting context. But it's basically just understanding and knowing children. If you was to adopt or foster, you get all this training. When you have your own children, it's here, go with it. All right, so it's interesting. Is
So
that
just
all right, yeah.
Chris, do you want to mute yourself and ask?
Yeah, just a quick one. You were saying about how you get all 3 online. How do you go about doing that? Like, what type of things would you suggest?
Oh, jump the gun. We're going to come on to that now.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. That's brilliant. No, you're fine. Absolutely fine. There's always got to be an element. So I went and did the course about 2 years ago, and it's very much primary school. So what I've done the last 2 years, I've gone, right, so how does that fit into football? So I'm going to show you now some application process and how we can implement it into football. Is that all right? I've got loads more, but we're short of time, but I will give you a bit of a flavour of it tonight. It's all right, Chris?
Yeah, great, thanks.
Okay, so linking into this now, if we move on, is the polyvagal theory. This is Stephen Porges' work, okay? And it is the theory that really underpins a lot of what I've just been talking around in a sense of child psychology, trauma. A lot of people use this theory, and it's starting to get looked at, like I said, to transfer into sports in Australia. The Premier League are looking at it at the minute. I had a conversation with the head of player in care at the Premier League, so it's looking at coming across. We're kind of a little bit ahead of the field at work, or not say anything, but I am in a sense of because of just a child development element. All right, so this is the polyvagal theory. As I've said, your brain takes in everything that's outside and inside the body. It's recording everything all the time, which gets fed into our nervous system. So when you walk into a room, you will, out of your conscious awareness, your brain will put you where you feel the most safe. Okay? And it's out of your conscious awareness. It links into your nervous system. It either gets you ready to be fight, flight, or freeze, or it goes, you know what, I'm fine, I'm up for social engagement. And this is how it is. So when we're up for social engagement, we are in all 3 parts of our brain. We give really good eye contact, we give facial expressions, and we chat. So when you ask a question and you have them people that put their hand up and answer all the questions, I love them people, because I think if you looked at it a different way, they're very much really like answering questions, and they're very much in their social engagement system. My slant would be why do the others not answer? Is it because they are not in their social engagement system? Or have they had a bad experience of answering a question, and then now the brain goes, oh, don't answer that question anymore because you know what happened last time, and it will stop them from doing it. So be curious around the behaviours. They are, as I said, they're calm, they're up for their own social engagement. They're in all 3 parts of their brain. And this is where we need our children to be when they're coming to football. Your stress response system is kind of limited in a way, not limited, is focused a lot around your eyes and to your mouth. It's come from when you were first born with your baby and you're connecting to your mum and to your whoever your parents, your primary caregiver is. And your vagal nerve that I touched on earlier goes all around your immune system, all around your nervous system, sorry, and it comes up the back of your head and it's all programmed into here. So I would say a massive thing is, what does your face say to the kids? That's one big thing I would say to you, because, and also if you get kids that are like this, or don't give you eye contact, it's a good indicator that they're not in their social engagement system. If they're not, they can be in two other systems in a way. They can be in a fight flight, so in danger mode, or in life threat. This is where they're irritated, they're angry, they might cry, they're fearful to others, defensive, or you might have that shut drawn, withdrawn. So we had it first game of the season. Our players were, when we're having team talks, were chatting and understood what we're doing. We had some that were just glazed. And you get this as well when children become distracted and they go out and look at the sky. That's also an indicator sometimes that they're in freeze response. Okay, it's not just that they haven't got lack of concentration. Concentration is linked into it. Is that all right? So that kind of links in. So be curious around some of the behaviours. And some of them are not necessarily easy to spot, but just be curious around them, what they're telling you. Is that okay? There's loads more on that, but we don't have. It's not for where we're trying to go with it tonight. It's not a deeper level. So this is kind of comes back into how we apply it. Vital relationship functions. How we are with children and adults when we attune and validate is massive to all of this. And there's a reason why it is. It's into our limbic part of our brain. So let me just go back. When we are in our limbic part of our brain, or let me rephrase it, we're in all three parts and we drop into here by somebody coming in to a relational approach. So by a coach coming in, attuning and validating in their limbic system, then puts them back up into here. It strengthens your relationship with a coach. So it links back into then having honest conversations, though pecking orders. But it also, when children come out of here and then go back into here through a relational approach, builds resilience. You are stretching their window of tolerance. And how we do this is we validate and attune. So we match the feeling. I haven't put them in tonight because of the concept of how we are, and it might be something when we get back into it that we do it more of a CPD, but I've got videos with me working with children that you can see how I tune and validate, and I match their feeling and validate their feeling, you know, because if you think around it, I've got a video of a keeper and he gets it in the nose. When you get it in the nose, it hurts. So instead of just going, oh, come on, you're all right, no problem, doesn't hit your limbic part of your system. If they go back into their thinking capacity, you've lost them for 25 minutes at session, 20 minutes at session, 15. And then sometimes what happens is they're in the limbic part and they're settling into that, and then something else happens and they get knocked again, or they make a mistake, or a friend says something, and then it's total dysregulation. Is that ringing true with people? But for us to be able to attune and validate, we need to have control of our emotions as well. Is that helping, ringing true, changing a little bit of slant? I can't see nobody because it's gone on to somebody else's words.
Yeah, there's folk now agreeing, Sally, in the chat function.
Okay, brilliant, Jimmy, come back on. Okay, brilliant. So this is something, again, for me to reframe. Children, try to get your attention. There's no attention-seeking behaviour in my eyes and what comes through in research. But there's other bits of behaviour. They're either wanting you to connect with them, okay? They want to attune with you, or they want to attachment seek. And if this goes back to sometimes children, if they are son, daughter in the team, will want to do things to get you in connection, and sometimes in an unhealthy way. A lot of children struggle with connection, so they might start pulling on somebody's top or kicking them instead of just saying, can you talk to me? Have you had a good day at school today? So we need to sometimes model it. They either want you to get in connection with you, so look at it differently around it. Be more curious around what's happening for them, because they're doing it for a certain reason. Behaviour, if you separate the child from behaviour, what's the behaviour telling you? Okay, there's a lot of, if children have underdeveloped stress response system or things in their brain, we've all got them, there's no perfect developmental brain. We're going to have a lot of people with interruptions at this period because of where we are. Then we need to start to have a little bit of a different slant on it. This is a good one for me because I don't think ever in history when somebody's being told to calm down when they're crying has it worked. It doesn't work. It doesn't hit your limbic system. So we need to change the change the slant. So how can I help you? Or I can see this is hard for you. All right. So there's a massive change of slant. This one over here, this 9 things anxious to your child, looks like quite babyish, but I'm going to give you a change of a slant on this. Number 5, let's draw it. I'll give you an example. When I was coaching at Donny Bell's, we were in the WSL 1, and our manager was on A licence, so I took the team. We just had an under-18s, a girl gone away with under-18s. Started every game in a tournament, had a really good tournament, scored loads of goals, come back absolutely buzzing, and we benched her. Anyway, the managers were their decision before, so I just gave the team out, and I'd been doing a little bit of work with her. She's very much struggles with telling her emotions, so I could see she was peeved off, but I knew that I needed her to be in the game. So I pulled her to one side after I'd done the team, and I said, I noticed that you're upset, and I get it. I can understand your frustration. Just been on England camp, you've come back, you're on the bench. Totally get it. But I'm going to have to need you to be ready to come on. So how are we going to work this out? So I said, there's a piece of paper there, some pencils, pick a colour. She picked red, shock, and draw it out for me. And she just scribbled. I said, and where's that scribble happening with you at a minute? Right in my stomach. Right, okay, I get it. So went and did warm up, come back in, draw me again. First half happened. I got her to do 3 things to talk herself through in the first half. What's 3 things she did really well at England camp that she's going to come on and show me? Half time, draw it out again, come on and play. All right, so we've got to sometimes recognise that frustration in adult context is the same. So fairness is one of the massive things for dysregulation. If I put it in an adult context, is somebody at work doing your job and getting paid 30 grand more. You wouldn't have it. It's like you buying a ticket for the World Cup final for £1,000, and your mate buys it for £1,000, but you've got to come out of the game in 75 minutes, and somebody can in and out watch it till the end. Put it in an adult context of fairness. Children at the time don't recognise the adult side of the experiences. So I'll put it again: loss. So if a child loses the game or doesn't get picked for a selection to go on camp or go places, their loss in their brain circuit is the same as our loss. So when I lost my grandma 2 years ago, that would be my same concept of loss, because I've gone through a period of experiences that if I lost a game of football now, it's not in the same context. But at 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, it's the same context in their brain. So when we go, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. It's only a game of football. Some of them got that concept. And they haven't also got the enable themselves to self-regulate, because it's not online in their brain development. Our brains don't tinker or settle down until mid-20s. Still changing massively. So be more curious about the behaviours and look at it in a slightly different way. Is that all right with people? And this is how I would do it. I'm imagining that when we go play this cup final at the weekend, some of you is going to be nervous about that. And I get it. because you know what? When I went and did a big presentation last week, I was nervous and I felt a bit sick. And what I did is I made myself a band, or I used my grandma's necklace. That's my kind of transitional object. We've all got them. And I just basically messed with that while I started, and it settled me straight down. I've noticed that when we go play a perceived better academy, you're ill the week before. And I need to help you with that, because you're missing out on a really good experience. I'm wondering if you're struggling when we play certain team because they're a little bit taller than us and stronger than us. And I'm going to help you with that in training the next couple of weeks, because I'm imagining it's scary, and I know it is. So we need to understand how we frame some of the language, because it's our limbic system. So the language that I put up there of calm down, stop crying, be quiet, hits our brainstem, which means it just keeps us into more of an anxious state, or we're not back in social engagement, and we lose them for a lot longer through the session. It also builds the care system, that we have a relational approach to the coach. And as a coach, even if at home is very uncertain and they're not having this validating and tuning, and at school they don't, you can still have an absolute massive effect on that child. Children that have gone through the most extreme trauma with one person that co-regulates with them and does all this stuff with them can change their life, can put back in their system, in their brain that they need. Roughly about 500 repetitions. So if we're consistent in it and we're curious in it, then we can actually have a massive impact on their development and their emotional social development for later on success in life. Research shows us that up to the age of 8, their emotional social development is most fundamental for their success in life. That's why most countries don't school until the age of 7 and 8. They do a lot of stuff around play with emotional social development. What time are we on? Just wondering about the... Okay, just think about the thing. Okay, so about application. Let me just plug my laptop in. Application. Biggest thing for me is taking some of the stuff from education across and child development. So greetings and connections of use of name. This is an amazing video that's around Tums, and it talks around some of this stuff. And basically research, I'm doing a paper on it at the minute for a master's around personal greetings. There's masses and masses of research that tells us it decreases behaviour, improves learning, and shares power. Boys have got a real problem with this sharing of power. The brain systems and structure in boys and girls are the same. When it gets about the age of 6, boys go from being very present in emotions to outer emotions. And if you've got boys that are in, or girls that are in a elite setting, power share isn't sometimes there. So a lot of children will suppress emotions, which then happens then later on, it has to come out later on, which then has a problem with mental health. 1 in 8 children at the minute have a diagnosable mental health problem. I'm predicting that probably through this epidemic, that is going to increase. If you think about what squads sizes you've got, it may be that you might have 1, 2, or even 3 children in your squad that may have a diagnosable mental health issue. Okay. Greetings. When you give children a choice, for one, it helps for them to make good decisions and choices. Power shares. It also helps them, or it helps you to understand where they are. So a lot of children don't want to shake hands and have bodily contact. It's very intrusive to them. So they might just want to give you like a wave or a hi or a thumbs up. If a child is very much on high five or a shake, and then they've started for a couple of weeks not really wanting to do that, then it's a good indicator that probably something's going on with them. Okay, so be curious around it. Another thing for me is this: structured board with timings is massive. Children that need, or we've got a lot of uncertainty at the minute we're probably feeling the same. When children come into sessions, they go, what are we doing tonight? What are we doing tonight? What are we doing tonight? What are we doing after this game? What are we doing after this game? Oh, we're playing at weekend. Oh, we're playing at weekend. How many players are going at weekend? How many players are going at weekend? What are we doing tonight? All right, a little bit too probably accentuated that, but you have children that come in like that. They want to know certainty. If they don't know what's happening, and we go, we'll tell you in 2 minutes, or I'm getting set up, or do you know what? Concentrate on tonight. I'll tell you at end we're playing at weekend. They're probably here. So they're not in their thinking capacity before they've even got into your session. All right. So an amazing thing that works and is one of my top tips, like I put there, is put a structure board up. When the kids come in on a little whiteboard, they can check in, see what they're doing tonight, and go into the session. Some need it, some don't. Give it a whirl for 7 or 8 weeks, and then take it out and see what the difference in behaviour is. And I'd be curious about that. Putting a drinks area in and a thinking in box is very much containment. For uncertainty or children that are struggling out of their thinking capacity, we need containment, which really interesting. It provides creativity. So when we have more containment, not structure, but more containment, we feel more safer. It's a really psychological, unconscious concept. So a drinks area, they can go in the drinks area, they're in a square, starts to regulate them, thinking in box. If you're struggling with this session, because we're doing 1v1s tonight, and I know that sometimes that gets frustrating, you can always go have a little thinking, and I'll come and try and help you. Or if you feel you're ready enough, you can come back in. It's their way of trying to have an element of self-regulating. This stretches window of tolerance, which basically is the strengthening of the vagus nerve.
Sal, can we just pause there for this clap?
We can.
Right, guys, so it's 2 minutes to 8, or it'll be slightly longer on. So if you want to go out and do the clap, feel free to do so. And then we'll come back in it just after everyone returns.
I'm going to go to my other window. Can't see this one.
Hi, Darren.
How are we doing, James?
All right, if you wonder everyone was, we've just left for the clap, and then we're joining back in again.
I thought as much. Yeah, we've just finished. I've been on another webinar with Bex, so we've just managed to get finished for just before 8 o'clock.
No bother. Yeah, no, Sally's. I think she's partway through now, so probably got another 20 minutes or so.
Hey, Dazza.
How are we doing?
I'm good at you.
I'm
How's your
pretty
webinar
good,
go?
thank you. Yeah, we've just got finished just before 8 o'clock.
Oh, brill.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Good, I'm glad.
You well?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, I'm
Settling in?
Yeah, getting into a new routine.
Jesus
I don't know
Christ.
whether I like the new routine, but I'm getting into it.
We haven't got much choice, have we?
Not really. Not
No.
really.
No. So we just have to go with it, don't we?
Yeah. How are you, James? Are you well?
Yeah, good, Darren. Good, thanks. Again, like yourself, fitting into a new routine. I'm starting to see family and kids now. And if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I've just put in the chat function to see it when people have. Yeah. So they keep telling me that. People I've just put in the chat function to tell us when they're coming back. So we've got 4 or 5 starting to come back in now, Sal. So
Okay.
give it another 30 seconds, and then I think we should be good to go.
That's fine.
James, you want me to turn my camera off?
You can do, mate, for now. And then what we'll do is I've got when Sally's finished and we've done some Q&A, there'll be some you can jump back in, mate, and introduce for next week.
Okay.
It's up to you. You can keep it on if you want.
No, I've got a face for radio, so.
Sal, it looks like people are coming back in now, so I don't know if you want to start picking back up again.
Yeah. So move on to top tips for self. Check-ins, I don't think I touched on that, did I, before we left? Check-ins is what we're probably all doing now at the minute with people. We're checking in. We can check in massively with children as well. One thing that a couple of the academies have took on, bells ringing, a couple of the academies have took on is if children are struggling to express emotions. So when they come in, instead of saying, I'm not right happy today, or I'm not feeling right good today, they can do what a metaphor check-in. So weather is a good one to use, for example. So they can say to the coach, I feel rainy today, or stormy, or actually I feel sunny today. And if a child said to me, well, I feel stormy today, I'd probably stay with them a little bit in the session. And if they felt sunny, I'd let them go, and then I'd just keep checking in. And I think that's a massive thing with when your son or daughter plays in the team. I would have something that you have a sign that you can keep checking in with them through the session, because when it's really hard for them when boundaries are maybe different at home, or it's not fair, like we said earlier. So just have a think about how you can keep checking in with them to keep them regulated, because you'll have a really good connection with your child that you can help regulate them a lot quicker and a lot more. Top tips for self, like I said, beware of what your face is saying to the players. Your tone of voice and facial expressions out of your conscious awareness will hit into some of their children's stress response system of what they've heard before or what faces. And we all know it. We all meet somebody and we think, look like them. All right. Or, you know what, I really like them. They're really nice. Or, so think about what your tone of voice and your facial expressions are saying and validate and attune with that. Use your voice to actually really validate and attune the emotions. The biggest thing for me is around acknowledgement, feelings of pre, during and after. All right. So got another video of that. And I did an example earlier around it. But if it's a really difficult session and you're wanting them to challenge them on the grass, then acknowledge that. So you know what, I'm going to really put you into a really difficult session tonight. And some of you might struggle, some of you might feel okay, some of you might get frustrated. And we're going to work it through. So then halfway through, we'll be, right, how are we feeling? Are we feeling frustrated? Are we okay? I've noticed this, I'm wondering that. Then after, how do you find that? I'm guessing it might have been this. So you're using your language, but you're actually really acknowledging feelings, because then they'll be able to sense in, match the words, and then start to be more open about your feelings and be able to catch it. If they can catch it, sense it in, they can start to get in a bit of a regulation and then be more open to talking about it later on, especially boys. All right, so observations, like I said to you, I've said all the way through, be curious about behaviours. When does it happen and when doesn't it happen? So, for example, another under 18s player working with, the coach said to me, "It's always like this." I said, "Always?" "Well, sometimes." "Okay, when isn't it? When is it?" Because we could probably have maybe a part to play in that. So when is he like that? When isn't he like that? What's the behaviour telling you? What's the trigger? What part do we have to play in that? And which basically comes on to the last couple of bits. The thing for me to just mention is, if a behaviour is not okay, so hitting somebody at training, it's not okay, all right, which we know. But there's probably something that's driving that behaviour. So you know what, hitting Dave is not all right, and that's not how we're going to be in our team. But I need to understand what's driving your behaviour. And if you've got, so that the bit about the mum and dad separated, they will be going through a massive period of grief, loss and fear. So think what that child is going through in their head. It's massive. And if the two parents really don't get on, then some of that child's behaviour will be a result of that. And if you can be that constant person for them, you'll be doing a massive thing. But we can't then let him get away with stuff if he misbehaves or is in a stress response system. You know what? That's not acceptable. And I get where I kind of understand, and I won't say that to him, but you understand that he's going through this difficult situation, but that still doesn't excuse the behaviour. All right, so sometimes shine a light on the behaviour, understand what the behaviour is telling you, and help support that. You know what, that's not okay, and I'm going to help you with that. Because, you know, if you keep hitting out, that's what you're going to be doing all the way through life. And at some point, it's going to get you in serious trouble. Okay? Caveat for this is that we are all human. We're all going through a period of really unsettling uncertainty at the minute. And I had a bit of a wobble a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, right, why have you wobbled? Right, because of this. Why is your brain doing this? It's doing it because of this. My brain's overriding me. Okay, let me talk it through. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to make a list. I'm going to do some baking. So baking's a great way for cognitive regulation because you follow a logical process. All right, so Jenga, Connect 4, baking, great for kids at the minute with these uncertain times. I'll be doing loads of it. All right, good enough is enough. So good is good enough. All right, we've got an age, and Suzanne Sidek's done a lot of work. She was on the BBC the other day, something I would definitely look into, as if you want to look more around this area. She talks around good is good enough. We're in a world where we want to be perfect parents, perfect teachers, perfect partners, have perfect kids. Good is good enough, because 30% of all this stuff is what we need for emotional social development. All right, if we can be consistent and be present with them, we're going to have them days where we're not. We're only human. But let's not strive or put ourselves under criticism when good is good enough. Remember, if we're wanting to develop some of this stuff in the psychosocial, we need to develop the soil. We need to stretch children's window of tolerance. Okay, and we need to get them in that optimal state. We've got a part to play in that, and then we can strengthen their soil, so when bad times hit, they've got it there, but also we can develop them as people and as players. So remember that. And there's some of the stuff we can do, and Ronnie's going to come on, I think, in a few weeks, isn't he? And he'll show you probably our planning document that Ronnie put together, and then I've added in this work in the psychosocial that you can plan for some of this stuff to come out. So your structure bars, your arrival activities, your feelings pre, during, and after. Your connections with players, greetings, personal greetings. I would have definitely personal greeting with all my players, okay? And this is another person to look into if you wanted to. Very much around trauma, Dr. Bruce Perry. He talks about relationships are the most key things for people to recover. And his work, as I said earlier, he's got a book called A Boy Raised by a Dog. It's a really horrific read. But he talks around some of the children that have had the most horrific of starts in life, their journeys through actually having one person that they have had loads of this relational approach, and it's helped. And we could all do with a little bit of this in today's society. So when we talk about kindness and patience and being in connection with people, this is the science that goes below it. And we could all do a bit of this. So even us as adults, even our children that have got a really good stress response system, there's still an area to be able to put it in. This is something that I wanted to put in. This got sent to me the other week. Transitional objects with connection. So at minute, children are very much aware, connection. Everybody's got really transitional objects. I've got my grandma's necklace. I've got a mug that I drink out of in the morning. That's my transitional object. It settles me out of my conscious awareness. So a lot of the stuff that you can use, Zoom, bands. I've just ordered loads of cotton wool threads. I'm going to make some bands and send them to our team. So I did Warrior Connection band when I get a little bit anxious. Ronnie did it with his daughter when she went to school to connect, so they know that somebody's there with them and you wear it. And postcards to the kids, keeping them connected. It helps them when they come back into football. They will not have as long with a settling in period. That's why when they have their change in school, it takes them a long time to settle in a good 3-4 months back into a season, because they're in fear, rage and loss. So if we did more of a transitional period and keep them more connected, then they wouldn't have had a bigger change in their emotional and social development. This is some bits if you wanted to read more into it, and I'm happy to share wherever you want. I mean, I can send James I can send the slides across, and you can send them out, or however you want to do it. And just the big thing before we go to questions, if there is any, is do never underestimate the power of small interactions. When we role model empathy and we attune and validate to emotions, children will see that, and it will massively help develop their empathy, their social emotional development, which is key for life. This is my niece. She has a backpack now. I have a backpack everywhere I go. And she's not ever mentioned a backpack, but she always now wants one and wears one. And when we lost Grandma, I made very much sure that I was always giving her time and attention, because I know what Grandma did for me going through this period of giving me emotional social development. She's a little mini me, really. So my final thought, and one thing I just wanted to really reiterate, is do never ever underestimate the power of small interactions that you can have with children. Any questions? Or Jay, do you want to? It's up to you.
Yeah, no. Take some questions, Sally, if anybody's got any. I posed a question in the group while you were talking there, and it was around people reflecting on whether they'd done anything around their blinds you were talking about. So there was some good stuff that came in. So Jackie had said that she uses emoji cards before.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen or heard of that before. Comment around the very aware of the kids mirroring coach behaviours. So your behaviour, I think you mentioned there, around, and a good example which goes on, Andrew has said that he's rushing from work to get to training. Probably had a very stressful day and has to take a minute in the car before he gets out, just to be aware of the behaviour and not take that into the session.
Yeah, I mean, deep breathing, even though we say a lot of it, when you deep breathe in yoga and meditation, through research shows us that you strengthen your vagus nerve, which basically strengthens your window of tolerance. So taking a real good couple of deep breaths is massive to sensing back in and calming your stress response system down. Which
I don't know if anyone wants. Yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to unmute and ask Sally anything around this area. I've certainly been making notes. I love the one around what does your face say to the kids. If anyone's got any questions that they want to ask.
If not, has it helped with the challenges that we spoke about earlier? Has it changed the slant or give you ideas to try with them?
All right, so one of the, just a question coming, Sal, tips to help with seeking.
With seeking, with what, developing the seeking system?
Yeah, I think, Nick, do you want to unmute yourself and ask?
Hi, yeah, just around the seeking, yeah.
So, all right, Nick.
Hiya, you all right?
Yes, I'm good, thanks. Are you?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Brilliant. I would do a lot around like emotions and capturing it. So seeking system is about curiosity and kind of going in the moment with them. So like if you were a child at like age of like 18 months and 2, you might go, oh my, look at how this boat goes under the water and back in the water, you know, when in the bath time or something. So I would definitely go like try and do that in a football sense. Tell you what, did you see your face when we scored that goal? It were amazing. Or show me your best celebration. Or you know when an aeroplane goes above, I tend to go, oh my life, I still can't believe how that aeroplane gets in the air. Anybody else think aeroplanes are absolutely fascinating? So you're turning on their curiosity and motivation. And a lot of it could be as well with home challenges. So, right, we're going to have this home challenge. We're going to do, how many kick-ups can we do? Right, go home, come back. Who's going to, let's have a look. Way. So it's how you get involved with them and how you kind of, like, emotionally get in contact with them. And that's how you drive your seeking system. It's a really good, enriched environment where you're just in the moment with them and you're acknowledging and matching where they are and expressions of emotions.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Thank you.
No
I think
problem.
sometimes it's quite hard because if you've coached a certain way, that'll be, if I went in and did that, I mean, I don't coach so much now, but if I went in and did that, it'd feel to me so out of character for me. And to get through that would be really difficult. Do you know what I mean?
And that's a way of when, Nick, as when I went through this process, I realised that I don't tend to sense in. I tend to put everything to a game. So when we did a thing of, we had on our course, you had 5 cards and you had to go in the garden and get something that was smooth, something that was rough, something that was shiny, something that was cold. And literally when she went go, I just went and got 5 things and come back. I didn't like go and walk around and touch it and sense in, and everything was a game. And I think that's when we talk around some of this stuff, it starts to actually go, well, where's my areas that I need to work on and why my coaching behaviours might have an influence on that. And it starts to unpick actually where you've where you've come through and what's your background and why you are what you are, because we're programmed into obviously be a lot of experiences. You're born with certain genetics and it's all through nurture, so it's a very much eye-opening. It's very much been a self-awareness thing for me.
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
Right, gamification. I did a CPD a few weeks ago with Rusty from the Magic Academy, and it's all around obviously challenges and levels and where you pick it. My thing would be curious around the behaviours. So a lot of the things that we do in applied psychology or our coaching element is very much grass level. Gamification's grass level. A lot of psychology, applied psychology is grass level. We still need to understand the nervous system below the surface to actually then be able to use that as a tool and be curious about behaviours. Does that answer that, Ben? And I would say this: a lot of things that you go down the line of and you go into, as I've been doing a master's I've realised that when you have one piece of research, you've always got something that counteracts it. So I would say go with where you see fit, try it and see and pull bits from everything, but have an understanding of the how and the why. Any of the major ones?
So can you see the chat function, Sal? Hoddy, yeah. So David, 2409s. See what they're going to do as soon as I think he's talking about the structure board that you mentioned, Sal.
Okay, yeah, brilliant.
Especially for some of the more anxious kids.
James, Ben was asking there about using Zoom. So we are just touching base with all the kids at this moment in time. It's an absolute nightmare, but honestly, just to see the faces, just to see how everybody's in terms of their mental health, it really is working well.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of pushback from the welfare officer and what we're using, and make sure we're going through the parents' accounts, etc. But honestly, the little faces, it's a nightmare, but it's excellent at this moment in time.
Yeah, so connection is our main thing. So if when you're in connection, it hits your limbic part of your brain, which enables you then to go into your thinking capacity, it starts to regulate. So when you've got certainty and you've got a phase of connection that's a feel-good chemical, it helps you to relax. So Zoom, I would if we'd have had a couple of days notice before we went into lockdown, I would have definitely got some bands and sent club colours and sent one to every child with a little envelope, a little note, and then they could put it on, and when they felt a bit anxious or nervous, they could then at least have something that they connect back into. This period of COVID-19 could be some children's really beneficial and some it could be horrendous. And that's the same in a normal year. Is Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas can have massive different implications on certain child's behaviour the week or the week after. And we're only going to really know later on the impact of this. But I would say the impact of uncertainty is going to have a massive effect on some children. My niece is premature, was born 11 weeks prem. This will do her the world of good at the age of 4. She's not ready for school. She's not really got enough stress response system through trauma to be able to go into school and learn. And I'll give you an example with Eliza. For the first 18 months, if you touched the back of her hand, she'd pull it away. She was born 11 weeks prem, and every time you went in, she had a cannula in the back of her hand. Her brain's keeping her safe. The when you went to touch that, her brain goes, oh, we know what's coming here, get it away. Same as any songs that have emotional connection with you. You only have to wear the first 3 notes, and then you go, oh, turn that off, or an emotion starts. Some of the children that we've got, it will either be the best time for them in emotional social because they're at home and they're developing and they're all that, or it's going to be an horrendous time for them. I don't think there's going to be much in middle, if I'm honest.
And Sal, then I suppose on the back of that, how do you deal with these kids when they're coming back in after this COVID-19 sort of lockdown? What have you got any tips for any coaches around things that they might be able to do to make potentially relax or support that environment?
I would definitely get in contact with them the week before and go, I'm really looking to see you on Tuesday. This is going to be what we're going to do on Tuesday. We're going to have 15 minutes of arrival, so come with a favourite game. You're going to get your mate and you're going to have 15 minutes of having a game. We're going to have this game because I know it's your favourite. Then we're going to finish with this. When you get there on that Tuesday, I'd be there a little bit earlier. I'd think about what my face is saying. I'd try to give him a little bit of eye contact. If someone don't want it, I'd move away. I'd have my structure board ready and I'd have some containment areas and I'd go, right, let's go. And I'd let him go and play. And I'd keep on that format. Just let me tell you, we're doing this next Tuesday. We'll be here again at 6 o'clock. This is what we're going to do. Everybody happy with that? And I'd reaffirm it a couple of days before. People want to know what they're doing. It's uncertainty. We've gone through an uncertain time. So you need to try and build that psychological safety as much as you can.
Good stuff. Els asked, how important is it to develop the sessions for individuals and collective?
In emotional and social development, I think we have to I think this. If you do a lot of the stuff talked about structure boards, checking in, arrival activities, and you're in tune with the players, it will flatline a lot of behaviours. So your strugglers and strivers, a lot of their behaviours are because of the knowing if they're striving or struggling. So you'll flatline a lot, which means when you flatline and they're in their social engagement, you can push them a little bit more. Then you'll also be able to then see individual stuff that you want to work on. So it's very important to do it all, and if you do it, you'll impact all the players, but then you can actually work on a few little bit of individual players as well, which may be the ones that actually want that development stage, and you'll support them with that. Rock, paper, scissors, I know somebody's put it up there, would be one of my top tips for using in your sessions to sort out fairness. Because fairness, like I said earlier, is one of the major things for dysregulation. Things are not fair, and if you put it in an adult context and things are not fair in an adult context, we'd be peeved off as well.
Spot on. Neil, do you want to unmute yourself and ask that question you've put in, pal? Neil Dickinson.
I've got the kids with me.
Right, so you can see it on there, so can't you? Around coaches. All right, so Neil said I coach girls and boys of equivalent ages, girls only and mixed boys teams. Find the way girls and boys behave, receive info, and how tentative they are very different. Is the makeup of the two male and female brains different by a lot at the foundation phase age groups?
No. There is loads of work through research with boys. The last 30 years, a man called Reichardt's done a lot. And he talks around how we perceive boys and how we probably are different with them in the classroom and the field. And I totally agree. The structure in structural of your brain, boys and girls, is the same. If you look at it, like I said earlier, socialisation has a massive impact on the boys' side. You only have to walk around Tesco at such an early age, or Asda, and it's mummy's little princess, daddy's little monster. What we say to them and what labels we give them and what we say to them gets logged in their brain. So we have to be really careful of how we say it to them, because, like I said earlier, up until the age of 6, boys are very present in their emotions, but then they have this thing of becoming out of that. So we go, oh, girls are more mature than boys, or boys seem to be this, or girls seem to be that. It's a lot through socialisation and how we actually interact with them. Girls will tend to get themselves ready, go in and put their own coat bag up, their own coat, get the pencils and stuff out for a day at school. With boys, we tend to do it for them. So we just need to be aware that it's a lot through socialisation why boys are slightly different to girls, and it's how we are with them that then changes then how we are with them. And we've done a lot with that in the classroom and on the field. If you want to look into that, it's a lot of stuff with Reichhardt. And actually boys are more in relational learners, but boys struggle in a rupture and repair of relationships to repair the relationship. Girls are better at repairing the relationship because of how we are with them. So it's something to look into that.
Good stuff. Last one, Earl. I don't know if you want to unmute yourself and ask that one, mate. All right, I can ask it if you want. Are we doing more harm than good letting underdeveloped children have equal playing time at a young age, bearing in mind the social side?
No. I think equal playing time is a fairness. So you're already starting out a bit of dysregulation. They're only going to get better at playing the game. If they struggle emotionally, socially in the game, we need to be able to, with our language and our expertise, recognise that and help and support them. Otherwise, where they're going to get to? I'm not really sure they're going to get to a point where they're going to have that stuff in them or be able to cope with that if we don't help and support them with it. So we need to put them in the situation, but we need to also help and support them with it. So equal playing time for me at such a young age enables them to practice. We need to be very aware of how we support them and observe them with that. And if they're struggling, we may bring them off, so talk to them about it, or speak to them at training about it. But we need to enable them so they can cope with that. Because if we don't enable them to have the stuff below the surface to cope with that, they're never going to be able to cope with it, or it's not going to be transferred into another context. So I think we need them to get them playing equal playing time, but we need to be very aware of how we support them. Fairness, again, is massive for dysregulation. If you've not got equal playing time, you don't know what's going in their thought process underneath the system, which can impact on self-worth, motivation, everything.
Thanks, Sal. I think if has anyone got any final questions for Sally? It's not very often we get somebody from Yorkshire to come in up on Cumbria, so do take the opportunity, guys, if you've not. I'm going to share, because I don't think there's any more coming in, and I'm conscious of time as well. Sally, thanks for that, because I've made some. Well, Ben will tell you I'm not a massive note taker, but I've definitely made some notes in there. That's certainly some stuff to consider and ponder over. And I think those coaches certainly that are looking at, and this lockdown is unprecedented for everybody. So there's some great stuff in there around when the coaches first come back in. What are the things they can do? I love that touching base even before that session. I think the guys mentioned it through there, that the work they're doing on Zoom from a social point of view is excellent. So some good stuff there. I'm just going to share my screen because I've got a couple of things, and we have got our next week's guest on the call. So bear with me 2 seconds. That is, can those of you see? Can you see that, Sally? Can you see that now?
Yeah, can do.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. So help us spread the word. I think I've said this each week. We're only in the 3rd week of this, and I know from sort of the feedback that it's had around is to give people something to look forward to. It's certainly helped people get a bit of feedback, so we'll continue to do it. And I'll be honest, we've got a great lineup, and using the network that we've got. I know, and Sally will confirm, and the other guests will, that these guys are extremely busy. So to get them, this is the good time to get people when they're on lockdown. I've noticed nobody really says no at this moment in time, so it's great. I'll be honest. So we're developing a page for this group where we're going to have all these resources. So Sal, I'll maybe get them videos and that all of you, and then we can sort of drop them on from a resource point of view. On there. And one thing, so last week's episode's not available yet, and the reason is so it's stuck on slide 2 in the recording. So Microsoft are currently looking at that with our tech guys at FA. So I'm hoping that that'll be resolved, and that certainly by early next week, and we'll drop them all on the recordings so that people can see them. Again, just continue to share. Sally can be contacted on the Twitter handle there. So it's Sally Needham 3. If you wouldn't mind, much appreciated. If you want to drop some feedback after the session, that would be great. Tag Sally, tag Cumberland FA in. That would be great. And it sort of brings us on to our next guest. So some of you will know Darren from his earlier days as our old RCDM. Darren, I don't know if you want to unmute yourself, mate, and introduce yourself.
I am unmuted, and I am
there we are,
on camera. So I've been listening intently to that Yorkshire accent, delivering all that great advice to the coaches. It's got me thinking definitely about the stuff that I'll be hoping to put into practice when we finally get back doing some coaching in the not too distant future. So yeah, some great advice from Sally there. And
Darren, just want to share with them for next week what you're looking at. I was going to put the long list on, but I've tried to sort of narrow it down as best I can, mate.
I know when you emailed me earlier this week and you said what do you want to kind of share with the guys that will join us. I think I'll probably come at it as a grassroots coach. Yeah, I work for the FA, and I'm involved in coach development. But first and foremost, I do consider myself to be a coach, and I get me coaching fix twice a week with a session and with a games program. And I've been lucky enough to work with the same group of players right away from the foundation phase through to the youth development phase. So they've just finished the under-16 season. I've had some fantastic experiences with those young lads. Many of them who've been with the club where I coach since they were 6 years of age. So it will be very much about sharing some, I won't say best practice, but just sharing some practice that I've learned along the way. Some stuff has worked, some stuff I'm quite happy to talk about and say what hasn't worked, and just kind of keep it real. It's based on my experiences. I think very often coaches attend courses. We share lots of content with them. It's how do you then go and apply it in your own context, and how does it impact on the players? How we're going to help them develop as, yes, footballers, players, but also as young people. So I guess looking at the four corners, and I'm already thinking about what resources I've got that I'm quite happy to share with any of the coaches that tune in next week, so that they can then have a go with it and use it in their own context with their own teams, players, and so on and so forth. So I don't think it will be as polished as the presentation and the chat that you've had from Sally, but I'll certainly try my best.
Great stuff. That's great stuff. I'll be honest with you guys, I know that it definitely will be. So he's probably playing himself down a little bit there. So those who don't, Darren worked, been within Cumberland for quite some time, didn't you? As our CDM prior to CCD role. And done some great stuff with us up here. So it is great to get Darren back on, and some of you will know Darren and some of you won't, so it'd be good to connect again. So again, Daz, thanks very much, and appreciate your time next week.
No problem. Looking forward to it.
Okay, guys, sort of finally leaves me just to say, and I finished with this every week, again, Sally, massive thanks on behalf of sort of Cumberland FA and the grassroots community for the work that you are currently doing, and definitely that has gave me some food for thought. So I'm sure it's gave a lot of other coaches some stuff to consider and think about. So much appreciated for your time tonight, Sally. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
If anyone, again, like we've said, and we've said this right throughout, if we can help in any way, if there's something that you think, actually, could you do this or could you do that? I've said I'm not precious other things. We will try and do whatever we can to try and just keep people engaged and help if you can. So main message around: stay home, stay safe, stay active. The FA are launching a YouTube channel, and Darren might be able to correct us and Sally on this. So there's a YouTube channel out there now. I think it's live now. Sally, I think we've seen your niece on it, did I earlier on today, doing some dribbling practice potentially. In the garden. I think in the garden doing dribbling practice.
That's with my niece, but I'm on the launch video. Right. And I'm like playing my bum in the kitchen.
So there's definitely some innovative and creative things that are coming out on there. I think I've seen one with Darren in a bin out on his front drive. So just keep an eye out. I'll post a link next week's session just so that people have got it if they want to check that out. And again, feel free to leave any comments in the chat function on social media, and appreciate everybody's time tonight. So thanks very much.
See you, everybody. Bye, Gaza.
See yourself. Take care. Look after yourself.
You too. Thanks, Dave.
All right, Sal. Good stuff, that.
Thank you. I'll see you later.
Oh, by the way, Sal.
Yeah?
Before you go, I took a right batter in there. I've got a cream pie in my face. and then I got smacked.
Well, I thought I could use you. You're a good example.